This is Mercury with Cyclops Vapor, and you're listening to the Go Vape Podcast.
The Go Vape Podcast is back again, and today we have a very special guest from Cyclops Vapor. His name is Derek Cromwell, aka Mercury.
The illustrious Cyclops Vapor continues to challenge the vape world with crazy flavors and awesome brand names. In this episode, you'll hear about all that and more. Joining us today, we have Mercury from Cyclops Vapor, the amazing one-eyed giant juice vendor of the vape world. We're happy to have you, and thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, my pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's our pleasure, and I want to say again, thanks for coming on. So you are in full Derek Cromwell, aka Mercury. So my question is, which name do you prefer? And maybe could you possibly tell us, where you're from, what you do at Cyclops Vapor, and just a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. Yeah, generally I go by Derek. Mercury is just a couple of the guys here have the kind of Olympus names we use, kind of character personas, me primarily, because I handle the social media stuff. So Mercury works, I get tagged with that sometimes at trade shows and whatnot. So either or is fine. I'm actually from Michigan. The company's based in Alabama, but I came from the Detroit area. These guys moved me down here. So sans accent, no Southern accent. But I'm in charge of all the marketing for Cyclops Vapor.
That sounds awesome.
So with that said, I'm sure that our listeners are eager to hear even more about the Cyclops Vapor. Your website, it reveals a lot about the concept. I'm sure there's more to it. The About page of Cyclops Vapor is extremely intriguing. The concept is huge. So what can you share with us today about the Cyclops brand and the Greek gods?
Yeah, sure. It all kind of started with, Zach and Gary. That's the two guys that co-own the company. And Zach has actually only got one eye. And Gary is, I think measures about 6'6". He used to play football. So between the two of them, they kind of merged with that, the idea of the Cyclops, the one-eyed giant, so to speak. So that was kind of the birth of it. And it took off into the Greek mythology from there.
That's cool how the brand of the company is so deep-seated into the owners. Mm-hmm. Okay, so to get this kicked off, one of my go-to questions is always, for you personally, what is your go-to setup? Like, what's the thing you always go to if you're just chilling, hanging out on your computer, whatever, in terms of mod, neck mod, whatever, tank, what is your go-to?
Gotcha. Well, I've got, actually what I'm vaping on right now is I've got the Panzer Blackhawk with the Atomic Dripper. And I go back and forth between that. I also have a Heimdall with the trusty, reliable Aspire Nautilus on the top of that. So it goes between those two, depending on how lazy I am. If I don't feel like dripping during the day and I just want to load a tank up.
I feel you on that 100%. I like dripping, but I definitely agree with the fact that it's just much easier to not have to do it nonstop.
Yeah, I juggle so much. Sometimes it's just easier to load it up during the day and not have to worry about it at all.
So with Cyclops Vapor e-liquid, being at such a prime level and, with the brand image behind it, and what would you say is your favorite juice from Cyclops? And also, what would you say are your, 3 favorite juices of all time? If you had to pick 3, what would they be?
Well, I don't have a particular favorite. I go back and forth between Poseidon and Artemis. Both are kind of a fruit. Artemis is a little bit more of a fruity dessert flavor. So it's a toss-up between those. As far as top 3 juices, do you mean overall other brands as well?
Oh, yeah, overall. Just your favorite 3, absolute favorite 3.
Absolutely none. We try quite a bit because we're actually in Sample Box as well, and we get one of their gold boxes every month. So we get 10 different juices that come through, and we've tried a lot of brands. Personally, I am a fan of R&D. So they've got Tricks Nerds, and there's another one I can't quite think of the name of right now that are all pretty good. Besides that, I don't really think I have any that I really jump on or go to on a regular basis. I'm pretty picky. I'm a little bit of a juice snob.
Okay, yeah. Did you just on a side note? I actually haven't signed up for Sample Box. I'm actually thinking about it. It is a cheaper way to get some cool stuff. But do you recommend Sample Box?
Yeah, I would say it's. I think it's a great deal for people that want to try a lot of new juices, don't want to pay the retail. The nice thing about it, from what I understand, working with these guys so far for the last few months, it's a pretty good deal, especially if you sign up for that gold box. You get 10 different juices. Sometimes it's the same brand. You'll get 2 different flavors from the same brand, but it's a really good variety, letting you pick your flavor profile, and you're saving off the retail. And once you find a good juice that you like, you could always cancel that subscription and stick with that juice. So we've been pretty happy with working with them. It's a good group of guys, and I think it's a pretty savvy investment for anybody that vapes. Yeah,
I agree. And also, I always think, like, part of me is always like, well, I'm not going to finish all the juice, but then I remember that I vape all day, every day. So I'll probably end up finishing that juice.
Yeah, it's a good way to I guess, vape it forward or pay it forward, as they say. If you know somebody that's kind of low on juice and you got a box full of stuff from Sample Box, you can always pass it on. We do that all the time.
Oh, yeah, definitely. All right, so getting back to Cyclops, could you, for the listeners out there, just break down the 4 flavors you have, and anything else you want to talk about with them? We'd love to hear it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We've only got 4 flavors right now, and that's one of the things we actually pride ourselves in, is doing the quality over quantity, per se. We started out with Colossus and Poseidon. Those are kind of our flagship flavors. When Zach started mixing several years ago, he came up with Colossus because he wanted something that was just better than a lot of juice out there. I mean, the vape scene is not what it is now if you go back, 2.5, 3 years ago. So he came up with Colossus as kind of a juice for himself. And as he decided to get into what we're doing now, he came up with Poseidon as kind of that, you have Colossus, which is a vanilla custard. So we have that dessert vape, that kind of that bakery style flavor in that a little bit. He wanted to go the fruity way, so we ended up with Poseidon. For those people that like the fruit flavors, those are the 2 that we launched with. And then Athena came along as he wanted to come up with kind of a green apple flavor or some kind of an apple flavor. And we actually matched the god to the flavor. We don't decide, we're going to make Athena. Now, what should we make Athena taste like? It's more of we look at the flavors that we come up with, and then we try to find a god in Greek mythology that matches that flavor, something that has to do, in their history, that has to do with apples. And there's actually a lot about apples, and the green apple in Athena's, she's one of the goddesses of agriculture as part of her background, so it fits perfectly with apples. So that one we launched in, I think it was March. We came out with Athena. And then shortly thereafter, we just came out with Artemis, which is a berry cobbler. So that blends both the fruit and the bakery kind of dessert flavors together. So we're kind of trying to hit all the different flavor profiles. We're not just creating stuff to, add flavors, throw stuff out there and just see what works. We're really meticulous about the flavors we put out.
And I definitely agree. I think that's awesome. I have 2 things off that. The first one is, I just really think it's so cool that the way you're making it out to be is that it's not just a flavor. You guys almost, it's like you guys are like selling an experience almost. You know what I mean? You're selling an idea, a concept, a theme, a brand. I think it makes it takes it a step further, and it adds some personality, and it makes it kind of fun. And I think that definitely adds on to the success and the coolness of what your brand has and is right now.
Mm-hmm. And that's, we do have a lot of fun with it. I think one of the parts of my job that I really enjoy is the research that goes into selecting the gods. I have a bunch of books on mythology here that I like to pick through. And of course, I was the nerd that studied that in school. So I really enjoy that aspect of it. And it's kind of fun to be challenged with. When they come up with some flavors, they task me with, let's figure out which god this applies to. And we try to create some backstory, some written content on the website that ties these gods in. We'll play with mythology a little bit and kind of put our own spin on some things too.
And secondly, to go off that, I think it's awesome that you keep the line small and focus on what works for you. We just did a podcast with Loki from Blue Mon Vapes, and he exclusively has one flavor, which is Strawberry Clouds. And it's been an absolute hit in essentially the vape world. Mm-hmm. And he says, I absolutely will not make another flavor unless I know it is perfect. It has to be the best thing ever. And I think you guys have a similar business model, which I think is awesome because it just puts out, when you go to Cyclops Vapor, you're going to get something that's been tried, tested, and is just an amazing vape.
Yeah, and that's exactly the same approach we take. It can be a little frustrating and maddening sometimes on our side of it because, Zach is the only one that he's the only one that mixes. He's the only one that sets the flavors up. I mean, it's his lab. We're not even allowed in it. It's locked up tight. And he'll bring flavors to us and we're like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's release ready. Put it out right now. And he says, nope, and goes right back into the lab, and he'll tweak it, a half a dozen more times where we think it's release ready. He'll bring something else back to us that's even better. And what that results in is, each of our flavors, short of the two that we launched with Poseidon and Colossus, with Athena and with Artemis, it was months individually where he was working on these. He started Athena, I think, in December, beginning of January. It didn't launch until March. Artemis was the same way. He started working on that back in, I think, beginning of February. And then we didn't bring that one out until just a couple of months ago. So each of our juices is almost a 2 to 3 month minimum of research and development and feedback and testing them out. And it's a little frustrating when you just want a damn bottle of juice and you won't. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But he's the best. He's a master at his craft, and I think he knows better than we do. So we just let him do his thing.
So with that being said, what should the Cyclops Vapor fans be looking forward to next? I don't want to ruin any surprises, or if there are or not, but is there anything being tested right now? Maybe we could get a little taste of, or?
Yeah, actually, we teased it out a little bit to our social media followers. The next one coming out is Eros, who is the god of, he's essentially the Greek counterpart of Cupid, but he's the god of love and fornication, to put it politically correct. So we're doing that one next. That one's going to get released. We've got all the artwork done for that one. The juice is just about ready. Of course, it's going through a few final tweaks, but that's going to be released here soon as well. And we haven't talked too much about the flavor profile, but I'm happy to let you guys know that so you can share it with your fans first, really. It's going to be like a derivative of Sex on the Beach. Not the same traditional flavor you would get in like a bar setting, but it's going to be very similar to that mixed drink flavor, and it's amazing. I'm actually vaping it right now.
I'm definitely excited for that. That sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so with this week's State of Vape on the show is the evolution of flavor, and I'm sure your input is going to be very wise on this. Obviously, all the Cyclops flavors are pretty set in stone, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. But me and Pete, we just started our own line, and we obviously have our own brand and strategy for creating the juices. But we decided that we're always going to go back. We're going to keep tweaking flavors. We're never going to keep one static. We're going to keep improving with feedback. We want to keep the flavors almost like it's not just one thing. It's static. It's a dynamic movement of the flavor. We want to keep it getting better. So our question to you is, with such a small product line, do you ever go back? Would you ever go back into Colossus and say, you know what, I can make this a little bit better. Let's make it better?
I would say no, only because, we do have a small line, and we've only been operating at this point for about 15 months, but we have a pretty wide customer base that spans the world. And if we were to go back at this point and change anything, I think we would be alienating a lot of customers who rely on us for the consistency in that product. And one of the reasons we do that long period of development is that's when we get the feedback from our stores, from customers. That's when we kind of tweak a flavor if we need to. Once it's released, that's not something that I think we would ever really touch. We wouldn't want to disappoint those people that come to rely on that. Some people, they quit smoking with these products. We get messages all the time that they quit smoking because they fell in love with Athena or Colossus or Poseidon. And I think that if we were to change that on them, that would be unfair to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that does make a lot of sense. And I think that the fact that you stick with that idea is awesome. Mm-hmm. So also, for the listeners listening right now, if you personally DIY or, you have some input on flavor profiles, anything you want to say, just put a comment below, whether you're on YouTube or you're on our website, because we'd love to hear from you. We want to create a conversation between you guys and us, aside from just us and obviously Cyclops right now. So leave a comment if you can.
Cool. So some pretty big news from the past few months from Cyclops Vapor. You guys recently celebrated a year, so congratulations on that. And you moved into a 3,000 square foot facility with a Class 7 clean room. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about that move?
Yeah, it was actually kind of funny. When we first started out, like I said, we've only been at this for about 15 months. When I came down from Michigan in February, we had a 900 square foot office with pretty limited space. And when you figure I'm like 6'1", Gary's 6'6", we were pretty well tripping over each other. So we made that move to the 3,000 square foot facility not that long ago, and we're already outgrowing it. We're having to put a lot of our bottles and packing materials into storage units. And just this last weekend, we inked a deal to buy a 13,000 square foot facility, not too far from our current facility. So we're upgrading again. Hopefully we won't have to move for a while.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So Mercury, where can we find Cyclops Vapor on the web, in stores, online, and what should fans of Cyclops Vapor be looking forward to from you?
Well, obviously you can get it on our website at cyclopsvapor.com, and we're pushing almost 200 stores across the U.S. right now. So we have a interactive store locator on our website that you can punch in your zip code. It'll show any stores that are near you. And then also you can get it from giantvapes.com on the web. And as far as from the near future coming from us, obviously we're getting ready to launch Eros, which is really cool. We're pretty excited about that new flavor coming out. We have probably 3 other flavors we're working on. Maybe do at least one more before the end of the year. But like I said, it's a slow push on those new flavors. I can't talk too much about them, but there's definitely a lot more coming from us.
Awesome. Yeah, I love the exclusivity on it, and I'm sure that everyone is very excited to see Eros and the rest. So, to our listeners, we will include links to everything Cyclops Vapor below, and thank you again for coming on, Mercury. If y'all enjoyed the podcast, share it with your friends, and tune in next time.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate you having me.